this year, 2011, I'd like to thank God for my husband and my children and the safe labour and birth of my fourth baby, Miriam. Throughout that labour, I really felt God's strength, and the Bible verse that I felt God had given me in that time was in Philippians 4 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ which strengthen me, and Christ was my strength at that time. The next thing I'd like to thank the Lord for is having the freedom in this country to educate our children at home. This year being the first year that Nathaniel would have been starting school, so the privilege of educating our children at home and the privilege of hearing my son beginning to read. I'd like to thank God for the freedom that we have in this country to be able to hire a hall and hold gospel meetings, because this is the first year that we've started doing that, and I just really pray that in the next year that we'll see people coming into our building and we'll see people saved.
I'd just like to thank God that He's put people in my life that I really need, and I've been through some bad times that I've felt suicidal, but I always know that the Lord is there to help me, and I just want to thank Him for everything. I spoke to a lot of people on the street who've got no families and got no homes, but I just pray that the Lord will touch them at Christmas time, and Christmas time can be a very lonely time, and I know that Lord loves people if they just turn to Him. I know it can be a sad time for a lot of people who've got no families, and I just pray for them that they will know His love. I try to talk to some people who are living on the street. I try to talk to a lad who sits in a wheelchair outside a cafe, he can't speak and that, but I just pray that the Lord will save him and touch him in every way, and that he'll bring peace to his life, whatever that happened to him. And I pray for anybody now who feels like there's nothing to live for, that there is something to live for. This is the Lord Jesus Christ, and He can save. He saved me for so many times. I tried to take my life, but He's always brought me through. He's brought me through some really bad times, but I know without Him I wouldn't be here. And I'd just like to thank this church. I'm speaking to Paul in Mersey Square, and I'm going to Southport, and I'm a bit nervous, but I know that's where the Lord wants me to be.
Wow. I've spent most of this year being pregnant with Elisha, and I found it absolutely horrendous. But that in itself has been a real blessing, because I spent the rest of my life, not the rest, but the other pregnancies, quite happily self-sufficient. Oh yeah, I can do this, and it was a real blessing to sort of be brought to my knees of, I cannot do this. There is no way, and it's just sort of like, well, I don't know if deception is too strong a word, but to think that you can carry on every day just normally, and so I'm really grateful for having felt so dreadful and had lots of little bits and bobs. I haven't had anything major or serious, but it's just been sort of an ongoing run of little problems, and even after he's 3 weeks old and I'm still struggling physically, which has also taken me really by surprise, and I'm really thankful for that, because I think I would have slipped back into, I'm normal again, I'm going to carry on doing things my way, firstly my way, and in my own strength as well. So I'm really thankful that I've learned a very important lesson that I can't do things by myself, and I shouldn't want to try to carry on doing them by myself, and also it is obviously a very big blessing to have baby Elisha as well. I'm very thankful.
It's been a really astounding year for me, one in which it's been hard to really second guess or even first guess God and what He was going to do. And it was way back in was it January when I first found out that I was going to be made redundant, and it was a bit of a shock, really. Well, then I thought, well, the Lord has His plans and we have our plans, and you've got to go with God's plans. You can't swim against the tide, and so we just went with that. And we'd already purposed in our own minds that we were going to set up this church, and and I thought, well, it's going to be it should be fairly straightforward because I've got a wage coming in. We can support the church, and I'll just do this kind of part time. And then I lost my job, and it was a real great blessing, I have to say. And I was happy in my job. I loved my job, and yet God had something else for me to do. And now I thank God because I've got the time to spend that I didn't have before. I can go out every day and preach the gospel. I can go out every day and speak to people in Stockport about Jesus Christ. And we've got this place here, where people can come and can share. And just meeting so many wonderful people really has been a blessing to me. People like Pauline, of course, and Matthew and others that I met just out on the street whilst I was preaching the gospel. And it's been a real wonderful thing, and it's good to have new friends and older friends like Jenny and Paul. It's just really blessed me this year to have had the opportunity to do these things, and to and I'm learning to be a minister of God, and sometimes I make mistakes, and I hope that God will draw my attention to those things, and I'm really trying to find my feet as the minister here, but it's been a wonderful time, and I'll look back on it, whatever happens in the future. I'll always look back on this year with a great fondness and a great delight that God gave me the time when so many people don't have that time, because of other constraints, jobs and so on, who would love to have been able to do what I did, and yet God has given me that time to go and to share the gospel.